Grinch. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel. A monster, Mr. Grinch. Your heart's an empty hole. You begin is full of spiders. You've got garlic in your soul, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot pole. Mr. Grinch, you have termites in your smile. You have the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, Mr. Grinch. Give the choice between the two of you. I'll take the seasick crocodile. Mr. Grinch, you're the king of sauce. Your heart's a dead tomato spot with moldy little spots, Mr. Grinch. Your soul is an appalling dump heap, overflowing with the most disgraceful assortment of deplorable rubbish imaginable, mangled up in a tangled up knot. Mr. Grinch, you're a nauseous super dog. You're a crooked jerky jockey and you drive a crooked horse, Mr. Grinch. You're a triple-decker sauerkraut and toadstool sandwich with arsenic sauce. Mr. Grinch, you're a nasty, waspy scum. Your heart is full of unwashed socks. Your soul is full of gum, Mr. Grinch. The three words that best describe you are as follows, and I quote, stink, stank, stunk.
Nothing quite like South Bay at Christmas. That's what Mother always said. See, South Bay, they have this great idea. They do this crazy thing where they take the biggest palm tree in town and they put a star on top, like it's a real Christmas tree or something. People in South Bay get a big kick at it. It brings a lot of joy. That joy mocks me. I hate being mocked. You ever hear that joke? The one about the mall Santa who's finally had enough? Let me tell you how it goes. You heard it before. Wait till you hear me do it. So, there's this mall Santa, and he has finally had enough, right? So, he walks into work one day, and he shoots a lot of people with a shotgun. He bought him a Kmart. I know that at face value, that doesn't sound that funny, but because in my version of the joke, the mall in question, the mall in South Bay. I'm not doing that well.
I have seen some fucking holiday seasons. Let me tell you. Not that unusual. A lot of people can't afford presents, getting sad, offing themselves or each other. Blizzards of men's minds spiraling out of control. You can try, as law enforcement, you can try to grab hold of them, pull them back. Trying to grab something like that, you have an easier time catching the snowflake with your tongue. You see, it's the nights that do it. The chilled, snowless nights of late December do something to a man. They step out into the darkness and see nothing staring back at them. December 24th, 2014 was one of those nights.
Yeah, I had what you call dreams. Aspirations bigger than my current vocation. But I made some mistakes, sort of correlated with the times. See, I gravely underestimated the staying power of lounge singing. I spent my life learning to sing like my heroes, only to wake up one day and find that they did not occupy the same space in other people's hearts like they did in mine. Hard lesson learned. And some people never want to hear your voice. I mean, it's enough to make a sad man angry on his worst day. And sad men, their worst days are always fun. But on that night, December 24th, 2014, I wasn't thinking about what was in front of me.
Look, America is a country with a different type of iconography. We don't have churches or temples or cathedrals for shit. It's not like they do in Europe. Here, we have plastic renderings advertising just how much opportunity exists with our various industries. I mean, that's our church. That's our tradition. I guess maybe that's why the whole thing struck me so goddamn personal. What was stolen that night was tradition. The opportunity of tradition.
And it's not like I was lazy. It's just some days you sleep more than others. Currency, always eluded me. A lot of people don't know this, and then they do, I'll tell you. But Frank Sinatra's right leg was made out of porcelain. Hollow as a empty womb. He stuffed it. From ankle to hip to cash. Said it gave him a lope that could not be denied. Now, if that's not making your money work for you, I don't know what is. See, Sinatra knew what to do with his money. And that's one of the things I think I admire about him most. See, men like Sinatra use their money to get the things they want. Men like me use money just to sort of kind of try to get by.
South Bay is not a radical county. It's by design. See, the aerospace industry keeps it on the right side of blue collar. And in 1981, when Jefferson Kilcoyne wanted to move the main artery of the community away from Inglewood, he borrowed money from Sinatra, possibly right out of his leg, to bankroll construction of the mall at Aviation and Rosecrans. To hell with the mall. It's got a Frogger game, an ice rink, and everything. Holidays, they mean a lot to families, but not so much to cops. All our days blend together. But I always relied on the decorations of that mall going up to remind me of things that matter to people who aren't me. My parents met there in 1947. You see, before it was a mall, it was a slightly less awesome mall. That's where I took my wife on her. And this place is where they chose to enact whatever you call this assault. You can't steal people's history away from them. It's not fair, it's not right.
I don't want to say it's the worst job I ever had, because I have had some shit ones. I once had a job where parents hired me to tell their children that their pets had died. I also worked at Target, Jamba Juice, and briefly for the Bush administration. I'll tell you what I don't like about this job. Fluorescent lights. I don't mind lying to children, but it's so weird to see yourself doing it so clearly. Man, it needs dark. I mean, in the light, you can see exactly what you're going to get. But in darkness, there's just tension.
I've seen enough horrible things to turn a good man's stomach for 1,000 winters. But what I saw then, there's nothing like it. And not just because of the action of violence, but because of what it killed symbolically. I'll never forget that night. People often ask me if I remember what happened clearly, to which I say,
In perfect detail, I was talking to this child that was in my lap, and I was telling him that people are always saying in school and mental hospitals that you can do anything you set your mind to. Like that isn't part of the problem. The only thing my mind's set to is making me my own worst enemy. See, I have this quirk, intrusive thoughts. It's a mental twerk, a subset of OCD. My brain gets caught in a loop. And that loop is not always within my own benefit. So, I think it's best to stop. And that starts with deciding not to feel guilty about anything I decide. So, all of us have to do our best to take care of ourselves, to find the darkness within us wherever it lies, no matter how that works out for anyone.
every Christmas Eve, I go to the ice rink me and my wife had our first date at, and cry. And then I made my way to the American Girl store, buy a dumb gift for my simple-minded daughter. All the stores stay open till midnight on Christmas Eve, so, people can do their last-minute shopping. It's wonderful.
All the malls stay open at midnight in the mall on Christmas Eve so people can finish their last-minute shopping. It's bullshit. That night, I went home 10 minutes early. The lead elf was screaming something about protocols, but whatever. I wasn't listening, and technically, he's my subordinate anyways.
They know me at the American Girl store. I like to get there late. Not just because the lines are shorter, but because the staff will lower the rollback door and let me slide underneath it before it shuts like Indiana Jones.
When I got to the break room, everybody was there complaining about their shitty days. I got undressed like I had 1,000 times, walked by the brooding horde of St. Nick's, out into the mausoleum that is the empty mall, ran down the frozen escalator to the doors, and out into the night.
But the new manager at the American Girl store is a stickler for rules, and he wouldn't let me make my desired exit. Now, as law enforcement, I appreciate his adherence to procedure, but as a person who values tradition, I hate it. So I stepped out into the empty mall, no bounce in my step,
I stood there, staring out the parking lot like I had 1,000 times before. Walked to my car like I had 1,000 times before. And that's when I started to think that that was the problem. That everything I was doing, I'd done 1,000 times before. That it was in my loop. That I had to break it. So I looked up into the night that never saw me. I angled my neck, and there it was, up on the rooftop, staring down at me, mocking me. I turned and headed back towards the entrance.
I jogged the 6 steps down to the parking lot, bumped shoulders with,
Excuse me.
hey, if you're headed to the American Girl store, forget it. And you got it like you do the Indiana Jones thing.
I wasn't. I knocked on the door, said I'd forgotten my beard. The security guy, nice dude, let me in. I went to the east stairwell where there are no cameras. I slowly walked out into the night, at this time elevated. The scattering of shoppers below me. I fixed my gaze, took in my prize. I remember reaching in my coat. I could feel.
I heard the shots before I saw anything. People ran for cover. I was already in my car at this point, so I heard it come over the radio too, but that didn't matter because I was already at the scene.
6 shots in total. 1, wherever it falls to the ground. It got crooked as I tore at it. Roof shingles came with me. I dropped my bag, get a better grip.
A beeline to the front door. I flashed my bag to the security guard who let me in.
Threw the bag on my shoulder, turned on my heels.
I sprinted to the east stairwell up 3 flights of stairs. Some fucking elf was screaming at me, but I was not in the business of validating his authority. I reached the roof access door.
I took a deep breath to survey my options. Peeked over the edge, make sure nobody was hurt.
I stepped out onto the landing and I gave a command, but
I was already gone. My voice was heard, and I was gone.
I found bullet casings near the rim of the building. Probably from an unregistered firearm. The day after Christmas, I got a call from a writer. Some twee little writer from Vice. Asking what kind of profile I'd give the perpetrator. And I didn't know what to say. Because what kind of person, no, what kind of animal does something like that? Takes the beacon of the holiday season away? A community imbues something with a certain kind of meaning, gives a thing, says a thing's important. That thing becomes a symbol to all who look at it. And for some, it was that statue. It went up the day after every Thanksgiving, and came down every January 2nd, every year since the dawn of South Bay. It was our cathedral. And for some people, for me, it was all I had. It was all the holiday season ever meant to me. I read the article the kid wrote, riddled with snark. Turned it into a kind of joke. And that is what is so plucked about the human experiment. People making their voices heard at the consequences of others. And while those who bear witness only live to make a joke out of it.
I don't feel bad about what I did. Again, there was no malice. The first step to no longer having the life you've grown to dislike is to fall into the night that never saw you. It will force you to find your light, even if it leaves others in shadow. It's always been that way, since before South Bay ever was. When all men had was the dark and the promise of angels. I mean, I am sorry that it came at the expense of some people's happiness. But in a sense, one man's Grinch is another man's Santa. We all have to do what we can to find the source of our own illumination, our voice. And that's what I did. That's how I told the world that I was coming.
And on vocals, hailing from Silver Lake, California, and Northeast and West, Miss Claire Riffle.